Okay. Namaste. Our first session on Phil with Peace. Phil is family immersion for lifelong learning, and Peace is presence, engagement, activation, connection, and enjoyment. So, maybe a good place to launch this is Tirunamalai, at least for us. It's a place we are very peaceful. Even Anand, after he came here, he's been very relaxed. And I want to actually start with three scenarios. So one is that we went to the Ramanashramam yesterday, and they do the Tamil Parayana every day in the evening. So the first time we had gone there with Ujjwal, it so happened that they actually do the Parayana singing in a very big hall. It so happened that we were in this old hall, which is a very small, dimly lit hall where people go for meditation. So that is too small. They don't do the, Parayanam and all there. But it so happened we were accidentally sitting there when we heard the Parayanam for the first time. So Anand came out and said, "This stops the thoughts in my head." And I was really shocked. Like he could, explain that so clearly. And after that, we have listened to the Parayanam, in the hall. We have listened to it from outside. It does not have the same effect. There is something different. I think it's the location of the hall, the old hall, in relation to the where the Parayanam is done. I think the acoustics are different. The meditation hall is very dimly lit, and everybody is just sitting there, meditating. And you're just hearing this beautiful Tamil Parayana from there. It's an entirely different experience than sitting in the hall where they're actually singing. So, environment. We never think about the environment, but our children, I think, are very sensitive to environment. So this is the first, point I wanted to make. The second point is the what all is there in the environment. So the same ashram, we also went on the 15th of this month for the Aradhana, which is a very important celebration. It's a very important event because it's the day, Ramana dropped his body. So it's a very important, very crowded. So now the same ashram, but very crowded, right? Lots of people. Well, they put speakers. They rarely put that. The ashram is very fussy about. You take out the phone for 1 minute to put on vibrate, and they'll come running and say, "Please put away the phone." They're very strict. So it's very good. Otherwise, I don't know. It would have been like anything else. They're very particular about silence. So that's still, there was still different when this big Aradhana celebration was going on. It's extremely hot in Tirunamalai right now. So a lot of heat, sound, and Anant has decided he wants to stay for the whole thing and have lunch. So this is scenario number two. One is listening to Tamil Parayana in the hall. Second is the same ashram, but a big event where he wants to stay for 3 hours and listen. And third, I'll just take something from today morning. There are a lot of very interesting places to eat and cafes and all kinds of things in Tirunamalai. So there is this one place we go to, Arunagiri Cafe, which has got all kinds of tuppa and all kinds of strange things. So we thought we'll have breakfast there today. So these are just very casual, it's open. This people come and go, and there was nobody there today except a dog. A dog came in, and the dog was happily sitting there behind where we were sitting. So now what we are noticing with Anant is anytime he sees a peacock in the ashram, or he sees we go to Sadhu Om Swami temple and there's a dog there, he'll immediately start. There in Ramana Tata's ashram, there are monkeys and there are dogs. So he was there. Nobody was there, only Anant and me. So I said, Anant, why don't you tell because he started doing this. They were dogs. He started like that. So, and I'm going to share that video. So he sat there and with the dog, and it so happened there was a picture of Ramana in the background and also a little picture of Arunachala. So good setting, it just happened. So he narrated the Jackie the dog story and sang Out of All Creatures right there. So, so it kind of just happened. So three scenarios, three very different experiences. So I just want to invite all of you to sort of, whoever wants to comment on any one of those scenarios. How do you think of that scenario? Maybe how might your child react to such a scenario? What are the issues that you see?
So, ma'am, the underlying point is vibration matters. It's not where we are. It's like as you said, the lighting, the sound, people around us.
Yes, matters.
However, I'm like it should be very peaceful. It should be that vibration. They should catch it.
Yes.
Even
So
he also likes trees,
exactly.
nature a lot.
So that's exactly the point. When we go sit in that old meditation hall, it's dimly lit, right? And it's very quiet, and nobody's saying a thing. Everybody is just sitting quietly and meditating. So the presence, the peace in the first one is presence. So not only are we quiet, there are 20 people around us or 50 people, whatever, they're all also sitting very quietly and meditating. So all they do is come and do namaskaram, do meditate, silently get up and go. You're not supposed to say a word. So they're just sitting, meditating. Not true in the main hall, because main hall is well lit, the lighting is different. There are many more people, and they're also reasonably quiet. But on the day of the Aradhana, there was actually speakers because they wanted, it was, there were more people they could accommodate in the hall. So they did want people outside to be able to hear. So there's more noise. So the same ashram, right? But it has a different feeling. Now they go to the Arunagiri cafe, and it was very quiet. Nobody, just me and Anand. And he's happily telling a story, right? So the P is the presence, E is the engagement. So if you think about the Arunagiri cafe, now that engagement, he's spontaneously telling the story. I didn't say anything. The moment, now he does that in the ashram also, he'll do. The moment he sees a peacock, he'll start doing the peacock hasta. So that engagement is also coming from what you have experienced, right? So because he's been telling these stories now from 2022, because he narrated the white peacock story in December 2022. Since then, he has been telling stories. So I'm not putting on the ebook right now. Maybe put a short at the end. But if you see the ebook, one side is daily rhythms, and the other side is family fun, right? So daily rhythms is what we do every day. Like Gitanjali, you and Mihir take those raised things and you practice. And Akshay, you've started practicing as well. So at that time, you may not see, but suddenly 1 year down the road, you'll see this spontaneous explosion where he's, just doing it. And I think actually Ujjwal has done a great job of, sort of framing that in. So we have been, he has been with us in Tiruvannamalai a few times. So every time we'll go, like we'll go outside, we'll go in the Girivalam, and he'll stand outside each linga and do some action. We'll go to Skandashram there also. He'll do some, recall some dance moves. So somehow he's built that bridge that what you're doing in the classroom, you can take it to real life. That bridge he has built. So it does not stay just in the class. So I think he is the one who planted that seed that, yes, if you experience it, you can use it elsewhere. And now it is just coming spontaneously. It's very funny to watch. You go to anywhere and those animal gestures will start coming. So I'll share that clip because today I managed to actually record that. And so that is the interplay of daily rhythms and family fun. I think eventually we want things in the rhythm, we want to do it in a structured way, we want to keep repeating. So it comes spontaneously. That is when they're owning it, right? And then,
Yes, ma'am. In the last incident of that he started spontaneously doing it. It's so much of initiation, which parents always say our child doesn't initiate unless and until we speak to them, we ask them. So that naturally came. My learning was that only. See how much he is just spontaneous initiating. You are not asking him, oh, what is this? What happened behind you? And is there a dog? Which naturally every therapy protocol, even I mean, because I'm in that conventional therapy, I would ask, okay, what happened? And the success of the story is when the child himself observes and sees and says, okay, I mean, his way of saying is through dance, or even another child would have just, even if it's not a dance, would say, oh, look, I mean, that way, getting that excitement.
and I think that's where the power of immersion is, because however brilliant Ujjwal might be, Anand sees him twice a week. That is not enough to bring real change. So that is why I've been pushing Ujjwal also, please do family immersion, because I was the one who was saying, because I know he's excellent, but he can only plant a seed. It's only when families work with it. And I know that, I spend, but he gives me enough in a 1 hour to really keep going with it. And now that we have been with him for 3 years, I also know very well how to make very good use of it, because now I know, I know how it works. So what happens is, now it could be anything, right? But where is the power of Natya? I think the power of Natya is it's engaging the body, the mind, everything, right? So there is a motor memory in Anand. Oh, monkey, dog, peacock. So he's actually not saying those words at all, because when he sees them in when he sees a peacock in the ashram, the first thing he'll start doing is he'll show the peacock. Then he'll suddenly show the cow. He'll show, all the animals that he spoke about. He will not say a single word, because in the ashram you can't also talk loudly, but he's standing there doing all these animal gestures. So I think Natya actually gives you a very powerful tool, because it's putting all these things in your body. So it's evoking that memory from the body. So I feel like that's a big advantage. And then today I saw him do this 3-4 times already on this trip. So I said, Anand, do you want to tell the Jackie story here? So he told the Jackie story, sang Out of All Creatures, all in Arunagiri Cafe. Nobody was there. We were having fun doing our own thing. So that is the power of Natya, I think, because it is not just words, especially for the so-called high-functioning ones like Anand. The words can be a real problem, because he'll keep on talking at us, talking. Both of us end up with a headache. So now, I was resisting. See, I have never learned any music. I've never learned any dance. So I've always thought Ujjwal was excellent for Anand, but I resist. You all are good. Gitanjali will nicely participate. I am always pushing back. No, I can't do this. Natya stuff is not for me. Let Anand do it. So I will never join anything. Now, what has happened is, after 3 years, as of last month, I have signed on. I said, okay, Ujjwal, I sing now this one, Padigam and all. I sing. Because the Padigam, if you see, and I shared one yesterday, and I'll share another one, it is so slow. It talks about Arunachala, but if you hear the song, it is very, very slow paced. And then, the movement will also be slow with that. So it really slows your system down, because I think Anand's like, and we are also, not just Anand, I'm also like that. We're all like that. So what this is doing is, this Padigam is really slowing us down. So every day morning now, so now we have the Arunachala we can see from our villa. So we'll sit in the yard, and I mean in the veranda, and with the Arunachala background, we'll sing the two songs, the Padigam songs, which are Ramana's verses to Arunachala. Then we'll sing Dawn is Rising. He wants to sing Dawn is Rising also. And then we sing, you do a little bit of the Ashtotra chanting. And then he's practicing a song. He's actually going to do a presentation on Prani Mitra Day. We did last Prani Mitra Day, he did a presentation at the Ramana Shrine. And so this was the first time he presented there. This time again, we are going to be putting on another presentation. So he started slowly working on that. So this brings us to smart projects, because let us say Ujjwal comes to a class and he teaches 10 different things. Somewhere there has to be focus, right? I mean, so Gitanjali, you have done that. Anusha, I think Akshay, you also done like the chanting. You're doing specific things, right? And I know that Suchita also was trying, because I think if you just do random things, nothing is registering. In our case, the initiation came from Anand, because we did see right from the beginning, the class will start with Ujjwal, and then somewhere in the middle, he'll start the Hasta stories. The moment the stories start, Anand's eyes will be bright. He'll just be waiting. Okay, when is the story coming? So we kind of knew he was very engaged with the story. Then suddenly on his birthday, he said he was going to narrate that White Peacock story. So till then, he had gone to Ujjwal as a dance student. But we realized what he really wants to learn from Ujjwal is storytelling. So we don't know also. We don't know, when you plant those seeds, you don't know where the child will go with it. So he has started saying, I don't want to dance that much. I want to do storytelling. He's really much more interested in storytelling now. And that is very good also, because, it's really helping developing that understanding. But Natya is very important because all the storytelling that Ujjwal does is paired with movement. So why do I go with the race class? Because when Ujjwal does this whole hour, everything has movement. Sloka has movement, story has movement, movement obviously has movement, and then you have the chanting has movement. One whole hour of movement integrated with language and expression. One whole hour. It's very powerful and it's very consistent. And sure, I can tell you the principle. I can say, okay, go and integrate language. I knew this 20 years back that I have to integrate language and movement. Was I able to do it? No, right? I'm not so creative. If I were so creative, then I wouldn't be needing anybody's help, right? I would have done it myself, right? So what happens with Raise is this whole, like Ujjwal was saying, Ramananjali has like 2000 songs and it's for life. This is, see, Enki was similar. Enki, Waldorf also say movement, also say arts, also have music, also have all these components. But that's more of a school program. Now, what happens with Raise is a grandma like me can learn it, a 6-year-old can learn it, a teenager can learn it, and young adult can learn it, anybody can learn it. So that is the beauty of it. There is enough in there for intergenerational learning. Anybody can learn it. So that is the power of Raise. And I feel like if I invest in Raise, it is something Anand can keep using throughout his life. Because what was the problem with Enki? 20 years back in 2006, we were doing exactly this. Think about it. So we had the solution 20 years back. What happened? We had it for a year while Enki was there. Then Enki stopped. We didn't have Enki. We had traditional school. We had, even though we were homeschooled, we still had the more traditional curriculum. We were trying to, get him to pass the high school. Lot of words. None of this movement, dance, arts, all gone, right? And we were stuck with a traditional format of delivery. So many changes. So 2006, we had exactly the same solution where we have ended up in 2026. So that is what I want people to know. If you have found the solution when your child is young, see if you can hang on to it, because our children's neurology may not change. So Anand is still Anand. He's still needing music, he's still needing dance, he's still needing movement, he's still needing all of this stuff. So I think if you have, those of you who have come to Raise, I think you're fortunate that you found a lifelong program when the child is young, right? So this grows with you. You can take it from me. I'm 60 plus. I'm learning it. It's still there. There is something in it for me also. So it's anybody can use it. So that is the key point. So that's our interesting journey. That is, for us, the solution is not new. We had it 20 years back. And still we have been going up and down and up and down, and periods of terrible stress and everything we've gone through, right? So think about it. You have a solution 20 years back, and still you're having all these difficult times. Now we are, so now why we value Ujjwal so much, because we know the hard way. We have had a similar solution. We have gone up and down, up and down, up and down. And what is the key? In that piece, you have presence, engagement, activation, connection, enjoyment. Okay. Now with TAHD, the 4E's method spotlights enjoyment. Sure, enjoyment is good, but it's not always there for us, right? We get into bad situations, right? So my spotlight is on the word activation. So going back to the 3 scenarios I introduced, when you go to that scenario of chanting and listening to the chants in this very dimly lit, quiet place, activation is low. Both of us, we are both sitting there very quietly. No, so I think this is cultural too. When we did RDI, his relationship development intervention, the RDI therapist was great, but it's all about high energy, yeah, let's build with bean bags, that type of energy, right? At that time, it worked because we were homeschooling and there was a little bit of this excitement. It was fine because we had long walks in a peaceful neighborhood. We had big, veranda for doing a lot of, movement stuff. We did a lot of art. So we were doing all this. And so we had this high energy therapist. It was fine. And I think Bharti may have left, but Bharti was mentioning, yeah, she was leaving at 10:30. So Bharti was mentioning this too, that people don't realize. And I think Monica had picked up on this too. If you hear Ujjwal, he's always got a very soft voice. He's got a very gentle presence. So even when you see dance, you can have highly vigorous dancing. But if you see Ujjwal's style, so Anand said, so his other Rasat TAHD person asked him, so Anant, what is the difference between your Kalakshetra dance and what Ujjwal is teaching you? So he says, and immediately he said, I was shocked that he could frame it like that. So he said, Kalakshetra one is like sports, this one is meditative. And I was like, okay, where did he get that from? But he knows. And because he's been going through a lot of stress, he's been saying, I will only learn dance from Ujjwalana, nobody else. Because now he's, in 2020, when he did his Arangetram, he had this, all of this energy and he was doing. But now he's gone through for a couple of years, he's gone through a lot of stress. So he's recognizing that. He's saying, now I can only learn from Ujjwalana and nobody else. So they know. So they know their stress level. They know how much they can handle. Now Anant is becoming very verbal about it. So I gave you this example earlier, right? He did the annual day and he was very disturbed by the bright lights and bright costumes. And he wasn't before. He did his Arangetram. He was wearing all kinds of fancy costumes and nothing bothered him. This time, like, he was very upset by it. So he told Ujjwal that, no, I'm not coming for the Shivratri. Then we went to Chennai and we were just rummaging around somewhere in grandma's house and he found a white shirt and he said, if I can wear this white shirt, I'll come. White shirt and dhoti, I'll come. And that's how he danced finally. So there was one dance where that suited. So Ujjwal said, okay, you can do that one. He did it. Ramanotsavam, he refused to dance because he's a dancer. People would think he will submit in the dance competition. He submitted an essay, submitted singing, which he doesn't sing, and he submitted mandala art, no dance. So he's becoming, I think, very aware of what is, how his body is feeling, which is very important. And I think I come back to this, that interoceptive awareness. And we don't pay any really attention to it, but he's, I think, becoming very in tune with it. And he's still having, I think the early stages of this, the reactions are very big, but I think I see the progress. Like he's really recognizing, no, this is not for me, So he was very particular. He was going to eat in that Aradhana day. And I was a bit scared because so much stimulation, for 3 hours. And then they have 2 different lines. A huge line he had to go himself. I had to go, but he handled it fine. So sometimes determination comes in. He was very determined. He was going to eat his lunch there only. So he ate. So the core of Phil is peace. So I'm actually moving away a little bit from the TAHD 4 E's. One of them is enjoyment, because I feel enjoyment for us at least often comes at the tail end. We have to lead with presence. And that's what Ujjwal has consistently given Anand. It doesn't matter what kind of some days he will dance, some days he'll refuse to dance, some days he'll say, Ujjwal, just tell me a story, whatever it is. But he will always come in with that very stable, calm presence. And that is a key variable. I wish I could do it, but well, we all have to start somewhere. But that presence is a very critical variable. Then is engagement. And Bharati has brought this up too. Allow different forms of engagement. So Ujjwal is never very pushy. So, some days he will dance more, some days he will not do that much. He doesn't really push a whole lot. Then activation, which ultimately the learner has to own, I mean, only to a point we can see how they are and keep reacting to it. So I'm very happy that he's coming to a point where he's taking more ownership of that, and then connection. So think about it. If you're bouncing off the walls, you can neither engage properly nor can you connect. So I think that and especially the learner themselves, like, and I think Gitanjali, this was a question you asked me in an earlier one. Yes, I know if I make him sit and draw, he's relaxed. But how does he get to recognize he's relaxed? And I think the solution to that is daily rhythms. I mean, if you keep, so now even now Anand is sitting and doing his mandala because he's now recognized that if he does mandala, and colors the mandala, it's very soothing for him. So that is the whole, point there in terms of that. So I think peace is the heart of it. And then if you remember, this book actually has an interesting story, if you will. It's also combining the folding, which Anand has been doing for, again, he started in 2007, so almost 20 years of folding also. And with folding, it's very interesting because we usually are used to modeling with a lot of bits and parts. When we do visual models, whether it's post-its or whatever, it's all these bits and pieces, right? With folding, imagine a paper circle. There's only that one paper plate, right? You only fold. So whatever parts are there, they're still part of that only. So if you think about it, we start with this original circle and I fold it in half. One half is daily rhythms, one half is spontaneous fun or family fun, what I call. So as a parent, we can keep our eye on two things: the daily rhythms, which give you the predictable structure, and the more of the fun, spontaneous element of it, because you don't want to just be structure. So that's why even for like Pada Beda and all, I suggest do the Pada Beda in a structured way, but then make it fun. Play it with Ramana says, okay, do this step or this step. Make it, once they get the basic idea, make it more fun. So my grandson Ishan and I used to have so much fun with the fruit song. So we used to sing the fruit song. So first he got the fruits, and then we would make up like the silly song. So we'll make up like A for watermelon, B for mango, something, and he'll say no, M for mango, something like that. So we would walk from home, and I'll drop him in his daycare, and we'll be singing all these songs only on the way, but we'll improvise, right? So the structured activity and then the fun. Don't just do only the structured, because then it just gets, has to be this way only. You also have to explore a little bit in a fun way. Those two come together, and that, I think both these elements feed into joyful investigations. So Anand has been learning storytelling and dance in a structured way. Dance he's been learning since 2012, and storytelling with Ujjwal from 2022. So there's a fair amount of structured work in his life. But Ujjwal has also encouraged that spontaneous expression, right? The few times when we come to Tirunamala, anywhere, he's encouraged that. And we have also done RDI. So I also encourage that. Now, those two combined is what gives him the idea that, oh, I can, when I come to the ashram and I see a peacock, I can do this, or I can, do the dog or whatever it is. So if you keep working on both the structured side and the spontaneous fun side, then also the joyful investigations, I feel that those smart projects are extremely important. So that's what I lead with, because, and I think, Monica, you've been pushing that too. Let us take just one thing and do it. And Anand actually led us on that path, because you go to Ujjwal's class and there are many activities, right? He zoomed in and said he wanted to do the white peacock story. Then he spent a whole month working on that white peacock story till he delivered it in that meeting. So since then, we are actually very oriented towards that smart project. So right now, we are singing the Padigam. We have very specific projects. So Ujjwal might do 8-10 things, but we are working on that Padigam. We are working on that Oma song, for which, Monica, we are planning to use the costume we gave him. So that one. And, that he's interested in Sloka. So we are working, we may start with one of those things and multiple things develop from there. But we are having a set of smart projects, because otherwise the parent doesn't have focus, the child doesn't have focus. You also don't know. Even for Anand, I think he'll come and say, oh, let's go and record the fun with Hastas, because he is also wanting that smart project also gives a structure, when it's not an intimidating, oh, you have to take an exam. but this is related to the fun elements that he's doing. Those same fun elements now become a project. Okay, we have to learn the body part song, or we have, and then you're working consistently on it. That helps a lot. So all these three things, the daily rhythms, the spontaneous fun, and the joyful investigations, all feed into peace, because in every one of those things, the presence matters, how you engage matters. The engagement will shift, right? If you have a structure, like every day we're singing Padigam. Now this is very calming for Anand. So every day, today morning he himself said, Amma, let's go sit on the veranda and sing the Padigam. Because once you do it, that structure is there. Whereas if you keep changing the activity, he doesn't know what is coming, right? So every day morning, if you're singing that song, that structure comes. So time is important, setting is important, choosing specific activities is important. So that's really, when I post this session recording, I'll put in the the visual. But right now, if you've seen the ebook, you remember that structure, and I also shared the poster. You have daily rhythms on one side, the fun on the other side, and the joyful investigations actually spans both sides, and in the middle is peace. So when you fold that over and you see the 3D tetrahedron, the bottom is peace. So to me, after now Anand is 28, where we have ended up is peace, which I think is a beautiful acronym, and I'm happy I'm able to do that session from Tiruvannamalai. So we have a few minutes in case anybody has any questions. And if you want to join back, we can talk for another 10, 15 minutes.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, I have a question.
share.
Sadhu here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I have one experience to share.
Yeah.
So, with constant race classes and family immersion and just keep child away from the stress thing, I myself have learned one thing. With consistency, I'm just seeing that Ira is enjoying the things. With me, what happens? I have that kind of OCD where I keep pushing her. Okay, now do the perfect, do the perfect, do the perfect, constantly prompting for the perfect. So since last I think 20 days we have started exploring mandala, and somehow Ira has visual perception challenges where she has writing challenges, coloring is also all over the place. And the moment I started giving her mandala, so with all the inputs I was receiving, I thought, let me try giving her mandala. She started enjoying it. But another after 3 or 4 days, again within myself, I started prompting a lot. Ira, don't do this. Color out. Don't.
Yeah.
Color should not go outside. Do this. Do like that. Hold grip nicely. And after a point, Ira was like, I don't want to do the mandala. I don't want to do the coloring. I want to go out. And then I realized, then again, because these all the things which you are saying is somehow was stored in my mind, and then I was somehow able to correlate that. Okay, I'm again, I think, giving the stress to Ira, and I should not be prompting too much. That's her enjoyment part. Instead of fixing everything at every single moment, let me just enjoy her. Let me give her without prompting, even though she's doing good, she's not doing good. Just let me give her without prompting.
Yeah.
So I just gave her. Nowadays, I don't prompt her like you have to do this. Whatever color she wants to choose. Earlier, she likes black color. She wanted to do black color in mandala. So I explained it once that mandala is supposed to be colorful. Black is outline, and we don't do black color inside. Now, if sometimes she wants to choose black color, I don't prompt her and don't interrupt her. I let her do that, and now she's like again, she's getting that interest. Okay, I want to do that. So for me, it is working that way that if I keep her away from that stress, she really looks to explore the things. And I'm sure after a while, if she keep on exploring stress-free things, she will be able to cope up with the better output also.
And I think that's where co-regulation comes in. So you can, when you say things like take out two colors and say, offer, let Ira choose one and you take one. And you say, okay,
Yeah.
and you can model it. Okay, I'll color with the green. I do that with my grandson. And you can say, oh, I'm coloring this one. And then he's got a lot of vocabulary. So he'll immediately say, I'm coloring this one. Then he'll take two more colors and give me and say, party, two colors for you and two colors for me. Like that, we'll
Yeah.
keep co-regulating like that. And then you slowly, get them away from being stuck on one color or doing it only one way. And you sort of create some fun through co-regulation, I think.
Yeah, sure.
So I think the time is almost up. So if anybody wants to join back, let me know. We can, talk for another 10 minutes. So just to take questions and so on. And then thank you all for coming. I think, after
Thank
all
you.
these, I think this is where it's converged now. So Fill with Peace is our,
Thank you.
work going forward. So
Ma'am,
I had
what
a
is
question, Rama. If,
can
Thank
you
you,
join
ma'am.
back? I think it's going to end less than a minute. So why don't you join
Okay,
back?
okay, ma'am.
Okay.
yeah, let's join.
Bye.